We are told a story of progress. It is a straight line. It marches forward from the cave to the cosmos. But the soul knows a different truth. The soul knows that history is not a line, but a circle. It is a great spiraling loom where the same threads are woven again and again. Each time the pattern is slightly different, yet the colors and textures remain familiar. We see the rise of empires. We see the fall. We see the hunger for power. We see the forgetting of wisdom. This is not failure. It is the rhythm of the human heart, beating its ancient song against the shores of time, testing itself, remembering and forgetting in a grand, cyclical dance that spans millennia. The wild soul within us feels this repetition in our bones. We feel it in the changing of the seasons, in the phases of the moon, in the stories our grandmothers told us. These tales were not just for entertainment. They were maps. They were warnings. They were keys to understanding the patterns of life and the patterns of our own spirit. When we ignore these cycles, we become lost. We believe we are the first to build so high. We believe we are the first to dream of conquering the stars or rewriting the very code of life itself. We forget that the loom has woven this pattern before, and the threads of hubris have always led to the same place, a great unraveling. The modern world, with its relentless pace and its worship of the new, urges us to sever these threads. It tells us that the past is irrelevant, that intuition is fanciful, and that the earth is merely a resource to be managed and consumed. But the old woman who lives in the heart of the soul, the La Loba, the one who knows, she whispers a different story. She reminds us that we are part of a much larger narrative, one that is deeply connected to the earth, the sky, and the sacred pulse of creation. To deny this is to deny the very source of our vitality, our creativity, and our endurance. This cyclical nature is not a curse. It is an opportunity. It is a chance with each turn of the wheel to learn the lesson we missed the last time. It is a chance to choose a different path. We are living in such a time now, a time of great technological power and great spiritual poverty, a time where the old patterns of dominance and control are re-emerging in new gleaming forms. The loom is turning and the threads are in our hands. Will we weave the old pattern of unraveling, or will we finally learn to weave a new one of balance, wisdom, and wholeness? The choice, as always, rests with us. The old stories tell of a tower built of human ambition, reaching for the heavens. It was called Babel. Its builders sought to make a name for themselves, to unify all under one language, one will, one singular vision of control. They sought to overtake the domain of the divine, to replace the wild, chaotic beauty of creation with a sterile, predictable order. Does this story not echo in the canyons of our modern world? We build our own towers today. They are towers of data, of artificial intelligence, of genetic code. We seek to create life without the womb, intelligence without the soul, and connection without the heart. We are promised a future of perfect efficiency, a world where algorithms predict our needs, where synthetic biology cures all ills, and where humanity transcends its fleshy, mortal limits. This ambition, cloaked in the language of progress, is the same ancient hunger that built the first tower. It is the desire to silence the messy, unpredictable, feminine voice of nature. It seeks to tame the wild, to pave over the sacred groves, and to replace intuition with cold, hard data. We are so busy building our new towers that we have forgotten the lesson of the first one. When humanity overreaches, when it seeks to dominate rather than to dance with creation, the result is not unity but confusion and scattering. A metal god with wires for veins, a coded mind that feels no pains. It builds a world of glass and steel but forgets the soul. It's truly real. The parallels are startling. The myth of Babel warns of a fractured communication, a loss of understanding. Look around. Are we not more connected, yet more isolated than ever? We have a million ways to speak, but we have forgotten how to listen. We listen to the machine, but not to the river. We listen to the market, but not to the wisdom of our own bodies. The drive to create a single dominant language, the language of code, of profit, of empirical data, has silenced the many dialects of the soul, intuition, dream, art, and the quiet, steady voice of the earth. This is the modern scattering. This is not to say that technology is inherently evil. A hammer can build a home or it can tear one down. The issue is not the tool but the consciousness that wields it. When our technological ambitions are born from a place of imbalance, from a desire to conquer and control the feminine principle of nature, rather than to honor and integrate it, we are destined to repeat the same mistakes. We are building towers on foundations of sand, reaching for a sterile heaven while the living, breathing earth groans beneath our feet. The ancient keys remind us that true progress is not about how high we can build, but how deeply we can connect. Across the centuries, certain souls have stood at the crossroads of time, their eyes open to the patterns that most of us miss. They were the seers, the visionaries, the ones who could read the threads on the great loom. Nostradamus, in his cryptic quatrains, spoke of fire from the sky and great machines that would change the face of the earth. He warned of a time when the sacred would be profaned, when humanity's cleverness would outstrip its wisdom, leading to great turmoil and a fundamental shift in the world's axis. His prophecies were not just predictions, they were mirrors, reflecting the consequences of a path taken without heart. Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, spoke with a clearer voice. He saw visions of a future where humanity would harness the fire of the gods, energies so powerful they could either heal the world or destroy it. He warned repeatedly of a time of reckoning, a shifting of the poles, which he described not just as a physical event but as a spiritual one. It would be a time when the earth itself would rebel against its misuse, when our collective neglect of the spiritual laws would manifest in geological upheaval. Cayce's prophecies were a plea to return to a more harmonious way of living, to understand that our actions have profound consequences on the living body of the planet. Baba Vanga, the blind mystic of the Balkans, saw a world consumed by its own unreal creations. She spoke of a time when people would have eyes, but not see, ears but not hear. Her visions pointed to a great spiritual blindness, where humanity would become so enamored with its own technological reflections that it would lose touch with authentic reality. These seers, separated by centuries and cultures, all saw the same pattern, the dangers of a purely masculine, aggressive ambition, untempered by the feminine principles of compassion, intuition, and reverence for life. They saw the end result of building the Tower of Babel. These prophecies are not meant to be spells of doom. They are the cries of the wild soul across time. They are the loving warnings of the Great Mother, whispering, "My child, you are straying too far. Come back to the warmth of the fire, to the truth of the soil." They are invitations to wake up before the final unraveling. The seers did not just prophesy destruction, they also spoke of a new age, a new earth, a fifth world that would be born from the ashes of the old. But this new world could only be entered by those who had learned the great lesson, that we are not masters of nature, but a part of its sacred, living body. So, why is the feminine principle so essential? Well, because it is the very matrix of creation. It's the dark, fertile soil from which all life springs. It is, the deep ocean of the unconscious, where ideas gestate before they are born into the light. The masculine principle, that's the spark, the lightning flash of action, the builder. But without the feminine ground to receive it, the spark just, dissipates into nothingness. A world that worships only the spark, only the action, only the building, becomes a world of frantic, soulless activity. It becomes a desert, vast and impressive, but honestly, incapable of sustaining life. We've been taught to see the feminine as a resource. Nature is a resource to be exploited. The body is a resource to be optimized. Intuition is a quaint accessory, but not a reliable guide. This, my friends, is the great wound of our time. We have severed the world from its own soul. We have taken the creative, nurturing, life-giving force and tried to subordinate it, to control it, to synthesize it in a laboratory. Can a future built on such a foundation be truly creative? Can a world that denies its own mother truly be alive? Or will it just be a magnificent hollow echo, a perfect machine humming in the void, the sacred womb where life takes hold, a story whispered, brave and old? To turn from her is to invite the cold, a world of dust, a tale untold. True progress is not synthetic, it is organic. It grows, it unfolds. It requires patience, nurturing, and a deep listening to the rhythms of life. It requires us to honor the feminine within ourselves, whether we are men or women. It means valuing intuition as much as intellect. It means cherishing stillness as much as action. It means seeing the world not as a collection of objects, but as a communion of subjects, each with its own spirit, its own voice, its own sacredness. This is not a regression to a primitive past. It is actually an evolution into a more complete and integrated future. To restore the feminine is to restore our own wholeness. It is to remember how to dream again, how to feel again, how to connect to the life that pulses within us and all around us. It is the work of feeding the wolf within, the wild instinctual nature that knows the way. It is the work of tending the inner garden, of listening to the whispers of the soul. Without this inner restoration, all our external building, no matter how technologically advanced, will be for naught. We will simply be building more beautiful, more elaborate cages for our own starving spirits. The time of the concrete towers is coming to an end. The prophecies spoke of this. The cycles of history promise this. The groaning of the earth demands this. We are standing on a threshold. Behind us is the fourth world of separation, of dominance, of the wounded masculine. Before us is the possibility of the fifth world, a world of integration, of balance, of the sacred marriage between the masculine and the feminine. The choice to cross that threshold is not a grand collective decision made in the halls of power. It is instead a quiet individual choice made in the sanctuary of the human heart. It is the choice to stop and listen. To listen to the wind, to the water, to the beating of our own heart. It is the choice to value wisdom over information and connection over productivity. The path to the fifth world is not paved with more technology or grander ambitions. It is a path that leads inward. It is a return to the body, to the earth, to the simple, profound truths that have been whispered in stories and myths for millennia. It is the act of remembering what our souls have always known, that we are children of the earth, and our survival depends on our love and respect for our mother. Let sun and moon dance in the sky, let wisdom live and folly die. The earth breathes out a knowing sigh, the time for healing is now nigh. This is not a passive waiting, it is an active remembering. It is the work of a lifetime. It is the courage to disconnect from the noise and reconnect with the signal. It is the planting of a garden, the telling of a story, the creation of art, the act of compassion. Each of these is a prayer. Each of these is a thread woven into the fabric of the new world. We must not be discouraged by the seeming power of the old paradigm. A great ship takes a long time to turn, but it turns because of the small, persistent actions of the many. The keys to this new world are ancient. They are not hidden in a vault or encoded in a computer. They are within us. They are the keys of intuition, compassion, creativity, and reverence for the wild, untamable spirit of life. The time to use them is now. The prophecies were not threats, but loving calls to action. The cycles of history are not a prison, but a lesson. Let us not repeat the mistakes of Babel one more time. Let us turn from the tower and kneel upon the earth. Let us honor the feminine, heal the wound, and walk into the dawn of the fifth world, whole and alive at last.